The Reemergence. The observation deck of Nexus Station provided Supreme Counselor Varix with an unparalleled view of the galactic core. The Xanthi diplomat's 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he absorbed the majesty of swirling stars and nebulae that formed the heart of what many called the United Worlds. 300 years of peace, he murmured to his aide, a slender Phalon with skin like polished copper. 300 years since the Great Silence. The Great Silence. The mysterious disappearance of humanity. One day, they had been an emerging spacefaring civilization, with colonies scattered across several star systems. The next, they had simply vanished. All 9 billion of them, gone without explanation. Their planets left empty, their ships abandoned, their communications silenced. The annual memorial ceremony for Earth begins in 20 minutes, Supreme Counselor, the aide reminded him. Varix nodded, his scaled skin catching the light. The ceremony was largely symbolic now. Few living beings remembered humans firsthand. Their worlds had been settled by other species, their technologies studied and improved upon, their history relegated to academic curiosity. "Send my regrets," Varix said. "There's a trade dispute between the Gorshik Collective and—" An alarm blared, cutting through the serene atmosphere of the observation deck. The aide's communicator flashed urgent red. "Supreme Counselor," the aide said, voice wavering. "Central Command requests your immediate presence." The command center of Nexus Station was chaos when Varix arrived. Holographic displays showed anomalous readings from multiple sectors, all in a pattern that circled what had once been human space. "Explain," Varix demanded. Fleet Admiral Kez, a massive Draxian with battle scars crisscrossing his exoskeleton, gestured toward the central display. Spatial distortions appearing simultaneously across 17 systems. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database. Natural phenomena. Impossible. The pattern is too precise, and now we're detecting. The Admiral hesitated. Transmissions. Origin. Unknown, but the language. The Admiral's mandibles clicked nervously. It's human. Silence fell over the command center. A language not heard in centuries, from a species long thought extinct. "Play it," Varix ordered. The speakers crackled to life, and a calm, measured voice filled the room. "This is Admiral Helena Way of the United Earth Fleet. After 3 centuries of absence, humanity has returned. We seek peaceful dialogue with the current inhabitants of our former territories. Please respond on this frequency." The message repeated, in multiple human languages, then in the common galactic trade language. "Verify," Varix demanded. "I want visual confirmation." It took only hours for the first images to arrive from patrol ships. The footage showed sleek vessels unlike any design in the United Worlds Registry. They hovered near abandoned human outposts, bathed in a soft blue glow that seemed to bend space around them. "Sir," reported a patrol captain, "they're not responding to standard hails. They're simply reclaiming abandoned human facilities. Systems that haven't functioned in centuries are coming online." Over the next 3 days, reports flooded in from across the sectors. Humans were appearing everywhere, reclaiming their former territories with calm efficiency. They weren't attacking United Worlds forces, merely ignoring them. When direct confrontations occurred, the humans simply disabled opposing vessels without destroying them, then continued their work. An emergency council session had been called, with representatives from all 27 major species. "This is outrageous," thundered Ambassador Thrax of the Volucrian Empire, the largest power to have expanded into former human space. "We have established colonies, mining operations, and trade routes throughout these regions for over 2 centuries. These are legally our territories now. I propose we establish a diplomatic mission," suggested Ambassador Lena of the Phalons. "These humans appear far more advanced than they were. We need to understand what happened to them, where they've been, and what they want." "What they want is obvious," Thrax retorted. "They want their planets back. planets we have developed and populated. Perhaps, Varix interrupted, silencing the chamber. We should ask them directly. 2 days later, Varix's diplomatic vessel approached the designated meeting point, a neutral space station at the edge of what had once been human territory. As they neared, a human ship appeared, seemingly from nowhere. One moment empty space, the next a vessel larger than Varix's own, gleaming with a metallic sheen that somehow absorbed rather than reflected light. "They're hailing us," the communications officer reported. On screen, Varix ordered, straightening his ceremonial robes. A human woman appeared on the view screen. She had dark skin, close-cropped silver hair, and eyes that seemed to hold depths beyond their apparent age. "Supreme Counselor Varix," she said, "I am Admiral Helena Wei. Thank you for accepting my invitation." "Admiral Wei," Varix replied, noting that she knew his name though he had not provided it. "The United Worlds wishes to understand your intentions. Your sudden return has caused considerable concern." "Understandable," she said. "Perhaps we should discuss this in person." The meeting took place aboard the space station. Varix and his small delegation were escorted to a conference room where Admiral Wei waited with 3 other humans, a tall man with pale skin, a woman with features suggesting East Asian ancestry, and a person of indeterminate gender whose skin had an unusual bluish tint. "Allow me to introduce Science Director Marcus Chen, Security Chief Lena Rodriguez, and Dimensional Navigator Ash," Wei said, gesturing to each in turn. Varix noticed that the humans moved with unnatural grace, as if gravity affected them differently. There was something distinctly other about them now. "We understand you have questions," Wei began. "First," Varix said firmly, "I must inform you that the territories you are attempting to reclaim have been legally settled by United Worlds members for generations. While we sympathize with your situation, these worlds are no longer yours." Wei smiled slightly. "Supreme Counselor, we appreciate the diplomatic approach, but let me be clear. We aren't asking permission. We're offering a peaceful transition instead of simply taking what is rightfully ours." "Is that a threat?" "An observation," said the one called Ash, speaking for the first time. Their voice had an unusual harmonic quality. "Your ships cannot detect us until we wish to be seen. Your weapons cannot harm us. Your shields cannot stop us. Where have you been?" Varix asked bluntly. "How does an entire species disappear, then return centuries later with technology far beyond what you possessed?" The humans exchanged glances. Then Science Director Chen spoke. "In simple terms, Supreme Counselor, we found a door. And when we went through it, it closed behind us." He activated a holographic display, showing what appeared to be a tear in space itself, swirling with colors that hurt Varix's eyes to look at directly. "In the year 2189, our scientists discovered what we now call a dimensional rift near Saturn," Chen explained. "It appeared suddenly, defying all known physics. We sent probes, then ships to investigate. What we found was another dimension where physical laws were different. The entire species went through this door." Varix asked skeptically. "Not intentionally," Admiral Wei said. "The rift was unstable. It expanded rapidly, enveloping Earth and our colonies within hours. Every human across our territory was pulled through. We couldn't stop it. On the other side," Chen continued, "we found ourselves in a place where time moved differently. What has been 300 years for you has been approximately 30 years for us. And you've spent these 30 years what? Surviving. Adapting?" Varix asked. "Evolving," said Wei simply. "Our bodies changed in response to that environment. Our technology developed along entirely new principles, and we searched for a way home." "How did you return?" "We learned to create our own rifts," Ash said with obvious pride. "Controlled ones. We can now move between dimensions at will." Varix felt a chill run through him. The implications were enormous. A species that could move between dimensions, that had evolved in an environment with different physical laws. "What exactly do you want?" he asked directly. "Earth. Our colonies, our space, Wei said simply. We understand others have built lives there. We're willing to give them time to relocate, or they may apply for citizenship in human territory if they wish to stay. The United Worlds won't simply hand over settled worlds, Verix warned. Security Chief Rodriguez, who had been silent until now, leaned forward. With respect, Supreme Counselor, we aren't asking the United Worlds' permission. We're offering a courtesy because, despite our transformation, we still value diplomacy. Then why talk at all? Verix challenged. Because we're still human, Wei said. We still value cooperation, understanding, and peace. We'd rather find a solution that works for everyone. But make no mistake, we will reclaim what is ours, with or without the United World's blessing. As the meeting continued, Verix realized that humanity's return wasn't just an inconvenience or a political challenge. It was the beginning of a fundamental shift in the galaxy's balance of power. When he returned to the United Worlds, his report was simple and sobering. The humans have changed. What they experienced in that other dimension has transformed them. They aren't the same species that vanished 300 years ago. There's something more. And they are going to reshape our galaxy, whether we cooperate or not. The new paradigm. Captain Ilara Voss stood on the bridge of the reclamation vessel Prometheus, watching the planet below. Once called New Eden by humans, the Volucrians had renamed it Thrax Prime after claiming it during humanity's absence. Now it would be human again. Status report, Ilara said calmly. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Kai, checked his displays. Volucrian Defense Fleet in position -19 battleships, 42 cruisers, numerous fighters. They've activated all planetary defense systems. Ilara nodded. The Volucrians were the first to reject the peaceful transition offered by humanity. They had built their empire on former human worlds and refused to give them up without a fight. Open communication channel, she ordered. The face of Admiral Krell, commander of the Volucrian fleet, appeared on screen. His scaled skin was darkened with anger, his crest fully extended, a sign of aggression in his species. This is your final warning, human, he growled. Leave Volucrian space immediately or face destruction. Ilara regarded him calmly. Admiral, we have no desire for conflict. We are simply reclaiming what was ours. Your people will be given safe passage. Nothing here is yours anymore, Krell snapped. These worlds have been Volucrian for 2 centuries. We built these cities. We terraformed these moons. You built on our foundations. Ilara interrupted gently. Using our technologies, mining our resources. I'll ask one final time. Will you allow peaceful transition? Never. The channel closed. They're charging weapons, reported Lieutenant Kai. Deploy phase shields, Ilara ordered. Around the 5 human ships, barely visible distortions appeared in space. The technology had been developed during their time in the other dimension, where physics worked differently. Science Director Chen had discovered how to create localized fields where those alternative physics still applied. The Volucrian fleet opened fire. Energy beams and missiles streaked toward the human vessels. When they hit the phase shields, they simply disappeared, not deflected, not absorbed. They ceased to exist in this dimension. Phase drives active, announced the navigator. Proceed, said Ilara. The human ships flickered and reappeared behind the Volucrian fleet. Before Admiral Krell could react, tendrils of blue energy reached out from the human vessels, touching each Volucrian ship. The energy didn't damage them. It simply shut them down. All Volucrian vessels neutralized, reported Kai. Power systems offline, life support functioning on emergency backup only. Ilara opened the channel again. Admiral Krell's bridge was now dim, lit only by emergency lighting. What did you do to my ships? Krell demanded, his earlier bravado replaced by bewilderment. We isolated them from the energy flows of this dimension, Ilara explained. They'll remain functional enough to keep your crews alive, but unable to fight. Now, about that peaceful transition. Similar scenes played out across former human space. Most civilizations, seeing what happened to the Volucrians, chose to accept humanity's terms. A few resisted, none succeeded. On Earth itself, now a museum planet preserved by the United Worlds, the first human feet in 300 years touched the soil. Science director Chen knelt and picked up a handful of dirt, letting it run through his fingers. "Home," he whispered. "It feels strange." Beside him, Admiral Wei surveyed the overgrown ruins of what had once been Sydney. "It will take time to rebuild." "Do we even need to?" Chen asked. "We've changed so much. Our bodies are different now. Our needs, our capabilities." It was true. During their time in the other dimension, humans had adapted. Their bodies had become more efficient, requiring less food and oxygen. Their minds had developed new ways of perceiving reality. Some, like Ash, could even manipulate the boundary between dimensions with thought alone. "We rebuild because this is still our home," Wei said firmly. "We may have changed, but we're still human." 6 months later, Supreme Counselor Varric stood in the rebuilt United Nations headquarters in Geneva, Earth. The building was a perfect recreation of its historic predecessor, yet subtly different. The materials seemed to shimmer with an inner light, and the air inside felt somehow more alive, more vibrant. "Your restoration efforts are impressive," Varric said to Admiral Wei, who walked beside him. "We've had help," she replied, nodding toward a group of mixed species, humans working alongside Phalans, Xanthi, even some Volucrians. Many chose to stay and become citizens. "And the others?" "Relocated to new worlds we've opened on the other side." Varric stopped, surprised. "You're allowing other species into your dimension." Wei smiled. "It seems only fair, since we've returned to yours." They entered a large chamber where representatives from all species, including humanity, sat in a circular arrangement. No head, no foot, all equal. "The new Galactic Council," Wei explained. "Not United Worlds, not human space. Something new." "You could have conquered us," Varric said quietly. "Why didn't you?" "Because conquest was never our goal," Wei replied. "We learned something important in the other dimension. The universe is far larger and stranger than any of us imagined. There are other rifts, other dimensions, things out there that make our differences seem trivial." She gestured to a holographic display showing multiple dimensional tiers, each leading to different realities. "We've mapped 7 so far, some beautiful, some terrifying. We'll need all our species working together to explore them safely." Varric studied the display, understanding dawning. "So this isn't about reclaiming territory at all. It's about preparation," Wei finished. "Humanity didn't just evolve technology during our absence, Counselor. We evolved perspective." Across the chamber, Ash was demonstrating dimensional navigation to a group of fascinated alien scientists. With a simple gesture, they opened a small rift, a window into another reality where the laws of physics bent in beautiful, impossible ways. "We don't know what's coming," Wei continued, "but we know we'll face it better together than apart." Later, as Varric prepared to return to Nexus Station, he found himself on an observation deck, similar to the one where this journey had begun. Earth's moon hung large in the view screen, its surface now dotted with the lights of new settlements. A human child ran past him, laughing with a young Volucrian. The children stopped to stare at a small dimensional window that showed creatures of living light dancing in an impossible sky. Varric realized that humanity's return hadn't just changed the political landscape of the galaxy. It had fundamentally altered its future. The species that had vanished in the Great Silence had returned not as conquerors, but as guides to a universe far more vast and wondrous than anyone had imagined. The door that had closed behind humanity 3 centuries ago had opened again, and through it came not just humans, but possibility itself.